This week on Ask Alicia, we're talking about the real estate timeline. What happens when you go under contract? So whether you're a buyer or a seller, typically if you're getting a contract with a loan, meaning a mortgage company is involved and it's not cash, it takes typically about 30 to 45 days to close on a normal closing, which means whether you're a buyer or a seller, there's that weird blank time period where you're waiting for you to get the keys or waiting to get the heck out of there so you can go into your new house. So what happens during this time period? In the contract, it specifically states timelines that you have, whether it's inspection timelines that you have to meet, and you can remove that guideline or contingency. That's when you're going to book your inspections to get your house, whether you're going to do a roof inspection, a general whole house inspection, radon, there's all different inspections. Now this is of course in a normal regular market. We're seeing a lot of inspections waived right now because there's so many offers coming in, but that's not typical. Then you have the time period of what they call an appraisal. If you're getting a loan, the bank wants to make sure that their investment is solid. So there's a separate independent appraiser that calls and comes and takes a look at the house and measures it for accuracy for the tax record. Whatever the square footage is in the tax record may be wrong, may be right. You may get some more square footage, but they actually take actual closed sales prices and measure it against your house. And they give you an actual appraisal value at that time. That's another step that has to be met. Then also you have to make sure when you're buying a house or selling a house that you have clean title, right? There's no judgments, meaning no one owes money against your house. Like an IRS claim, a past creditor. You don't want to buy a house that could have a claim on it and not have clear title is what they call it. And you want to make sure you own that house outright and that is your house going into this new situation. And as a seller, you need to make sure that you're offering a clean title to the buyer. So that's another thing that's happening during this whole time period. So some of those things are going on. It just takes time. Underwriting is something they call at the lender where they're checking all of your pay stubs, your tax records, and measuring things to make sure as a buyer that you are solid as you say you are for a closing day for them to give you that huge check that's going to be the remainder. And then as well, a couple of days before closing, typically you'll have the amount that you need to bring to closing or wired or brought in a check to your closing company. So all these things are going on before closing. And then of course the day you get your house, it's so exciting. You have that final walkthrough, you make sure everything is corrected and the repairs are done if there are any credits are done. Both sides are going to make sure their balance sheet is correct and that the paperwork is correct. And the exciting day in Virginia here, sellers don't have to go to closing and they don't ever really see the buyer unless you just happen to run across them. They sign the deed over typically the day or so before selling, sometimes a week before, depending when the deed comes in. And then the buyers actually go to closing after their walkthrough, or sometimes they'll close remotely if they are not in the area yet. So many different variables happen. It's really important to trust your realtor and make sure that you follow what they ask you to do and your lender so that there are no delays and hiccups on your closing on both sides. And remember, just remember the golden rule. If you're a seller, how would you like to receive that house? It's always really nice to get that house clean for the new buyer coming in, make sure there's no trash. Our contracts say broom swept, but it's a nice thing to get something clean for someone. How would you want your house sent to you? That's it on Ask Alicia.